Thinking of moving to Knoxville, Tennessee? Before you pack your bags, you need to know about these hidden costs of living that no one talks about. Stay tuned, because some of these might surprise you. Welcome back. Today we're breaking down the true cost of living in Knoxville, Tennessee, 2025 update, with all the hidden costs included. Knoxville is one of the most popular cities for relocations in 2025. But how much does it really cost to live here? We'll cover housing, utilities, taxes, transportation, and those sneaky hidden expenses that can catch newcomers off guard. Plus, we'll compare Knoxville's cost of living to Nashville, Atlanta, Austin, and Charlotte. Whether you're relocating to Tennessee for work, retiring on a budget, or a young professional comparing cities, we've got you covered. Let's dive in. Housing is likely your biggest expense, so let's start there. Knoxville's home prices are much more affordable than many other booming cities. The median home price for Knoxville is around $375,000. Here's how that compares to other cities in 2025. $375,000 in Knoxville is the median home price. In Nashville, it's $450,000, higher as expected for a bigger city. In Atlanta, it's $430,000. In Austin, it's $530,000. Austin is pricier for over $500,000. Charlotte, it's $420,000. As you can see, Knoxville's housing costs are significantly lower than places like Austin or Nashville. A house that might cost you $530,000 in Austin could be in the $370,000 range in Knoxville for a similar property. That's great news for buyers looking to relocate to Knoxville, Tennessee for more bang for their buck. Now, what about renting? If you're not ready to buy, Knoxville rents are also quite reasonable compared to other cities. The average rent for a 2-bedroom apartment in each city is approximately, for Knoxville, it's $1,450 per month. Nashville, $1,950 per month. Atlanta, $2,200 per month. And Austin, $2,300 per month. Austin is one of the priciest. In Charlotte, North Carolina, it's $1,850 per month. These are averages for 2-bedroom apartments. Of course, exact rents vary by neighborhood and property. Knoxville's $1,450 is much cheaper than Atlanta or Austin, where you could easily pay over $2,000 a month in rent. Even compared to Nashville, $1,950, Knoxville's rent will save you a few $100 every month. Property taxes are another piece of the puzzle. Tennessee is known for relatively low property taxes, and Knox County is no exception. The effective property tax rate in Knoxville is around 0.7 to 0.8% of a home's value, which is really quite low. I'm talking to you Texans and Californians. For context, in many parts of Texas, the effective property tax can range from about 1.8% to 2.3% of the home's value each year, roughly 2 to 3 times higher than Knoxville's rate. That means homeowners in Knoxville save a lot on annual taxes compared to homeowners in, say, Dallas or Austin. Hidden housing costs. Don't forget the extras that new homeowners or renters might not anticipate. Some hidden housing related costs in Knoxville include HOA fees. If you buy in a neighborhood or condo with a homeowners association, you might pay monthly or annual dues. These can range from modest amounts to several $100s a month depending on amenities. Home insurance. Property insurance in Tennessee is generally affordable, but you'll still need to budget for homeowners or renters insurance to protect against fire, storms, and theft. Maintenance. Knoxville's homes, especially older ones, will require upkeep. Budget for things like HVAC, roof repairs, or just lawn care and pest control. Flood zone insurance. Parts of the Knoxville area, especially near rivers or low-lying spots, might be in flood zones. If you end up in one of those areas, you may need separate flood insurance, which can be unexpected cost. Always check if the home is in a floodplain. So the bottom line on housing, Knoxville housing costs, both buying and renting, are much easier on the wallet than in bigger cities like Nashville or Austin. But always factor in those hidden costs like HOA, insurance, and maintenance, so you're not caught off guard. Next up, let's talk about utilities and taxes, because those can vary a lot from city to city and really affect your monthly budget. In Knoxville, you can expect to pay around $190 per month for basic utilities on average. That includes things like electricity, water, heating, cooling, and trash services for a typical household. Knoxville's utility costs are actually a bit lower than many other cities. For comparison, similar utility usage might cost around $220 in Nashville, about $250 in Atlanta, and upwards of $260 per month in Austin. Part of this is due to Tennessee's generally lower cost for electricity and also the cost of living differences. Do you keep in mind that hot southern summers can spike your electric bill if you're running the AC a lot? And Knoxville does get humid heat, but overall, utilities here are manageable. And pro tip, Knoxville's internet costs tend to be a bit lower too. Average internet bills here are around $65, which is cheaper than in Nashville, which is around $83 a month. Now taxes. Here's some good news for your paycheck. Tennessee has no state income tax. Woohoo! That's right, 0% state income tax. This is a huge perk of moving to Tennessee. Just like in Texas or Florida, you won't pay state income tax on your earnings. If you're coming from a state like Georgia or North Carolina that has a 4 to 6% income tax, this feels like a raise. However, the trade-off is in the sales tax. Tennessee has one of the highest sales tax rates in the country. In Knox County, which is Knoxville, the combined sales tax is 9.25% on most purchases. So buying furniture, electronics, or even going out to eat will include that 9.25% tax on top. Many newcomers are surprised by this. If you're moving from a place with, say, 6% sales tax, you'll definitely notice everyday items ringing up a bit higher. Important tip, when budgeting for big purchases like cars or appliances, remember to factor in that almost 9.25% added cost. Ouch. What about property taxes and other local taxes? We already touched on property taxes being low, which is a relief to homeowners. Also, Tennessee doesn't tax Social Security or other retirement income, which is great for retirees moving here. Another small perk, vehicle registration fees in Tennessee are very low. It costs $26 to $30 a year to register your car in Tennessee. That's it. In contrast, states like North Carolina charge around $40 plus property tax on your car. And Georgia can be $20 plus other fees. So car owners, rejoice. In Knoxville, you won't be shelling out a ton to the DMV each year. One more thing on vehicles. Emissions testing fees used to be a thing in some counties, but Tennessee ended requirements for emission tests in recent years in most counties, including Knox. So that's one less expense compared to some other areas. Now, what are the hidden costs? Utilities and taxes? A couple of hidden costs to note here. There's a high sales tax on everything. As mentioned, 9.25% sales tax can catch you off guard. For example, buying a $30,000 car will incur about $2,775 in sales tax. Ouch! Some people drive to neighboring states for big buys, but generally you'll end up paying Tennessee sales tax on major purchases if you're a resident. Fees on the phone, internet. Your cell phone bill and cable internet might have local fees tacked on. They're usually small, but check your bills. Tennessee has 911 fees, but nothing outrageous. No income tax, but Tennessee does tax interest and dividends, the Hall tax, at a small rate. But as of 2021, it's been phased out to 0%. So unless you have a lot of investment income, no worries. Just know your paycheck goes further here than in states with income tax. Overall, Knoxville's tax situation is very friendly. No state income tax is a huge win, and property taxes are low. Just watch out for that high sales tax on spending and budget a couple hundred a month for utilities. Let's move on to transportation, which includes everything from gas prices to your daily commute and any hidden costs of getting around Knoxville. Gas prices. Good news here, filling up in Knoxville is generally cheaper than many major metro areas. Recently, regular gas in Knoxville has been around $3.20 a gallon. Compare that to roughly $3.60 in Nashville, $3.80 in Atlanta, and pushing $4 in Austin for the same gallon of gas. So, day-to-day driving will cost you less in Knoxville. Part of this is lower taxes on gas and being near regional fuel supply lines. If you're coming from out west or up north, $3.20 a gallon might actually be a relief. Pro tip, Tennessee's gas tax is lower than Georgia's, so often gas is a few cents cheaper in Tennessee than just across the border in Georgia. Public transportation. Here's where Knoxville is different from bigger cities. The public transit is limited. Knoxville's bus system exists, but it's modest. We're a car-dependent city for the most part. There's no subway or light rail. Buses cover main routes, but if you're living in suburban areas or commuting to work, you'll likely need a car. This is unlike Charlotte, which has a light rail, or Atlanta with trains. So if you're relocating to Knoxville, budget for a car, or two per household if you don't already have one. Let's talk about commute times. Because Knoxville is smaller, commutes are generally short and sweet. The average commute time in Knoxville is only about 21 minutes one way, which is significantly lower than the national average. Put that in perspective. The commute time in Nashville is 21 minutes on average. For Nashville, it's 29 to 30 minutes. For Atlanta, it's generally 33 minutes. Austin, 32 minutes. And on Charlotte, it's 27 minutes. So Knoxville shines in this department. Less time in the car, more time at home or doing things you enjoy. And less stop and go traffic also means a bit less gas usage and car wear. Now, owning a car has its costs. Insurance in Knoxville is moderate. The average car insurance rate here is around $110 to $120 per month for full coverage, depending on your driving record and vehicle. That's pretty reasonable. For example, it's not uncommon to hear of $150 plus in cities like Atlanta or even higher in states like Florida. Of course, your rates will vary, but Tennessee in general has mid-range car insurance costs. Parking in Knoxville is another consideration. If you work downtown or frequent downtown entertainment, parking is much cheaper than big cities, but it's not always free. Meters downtown run about $1 an hour in many spots, and there are garages that might be $5 to $10 for a few hours. Monthly parking passes downtown are $50 to $100. Compare that to, say, downtown Nashville or Charlotte, where monthly parking can be $150 plus. Atlanta, where it can be even higher. Most Knoxville parking is free. Shopping centers, residential areas, etc. If you're living in the heart of downtown in an apartment, if your building charges for a parking spot. Let's talk about some other hidden transportation costs. Some hidden or easily overlooked costs of getting around Knoxville. Car maintenance. Knoxville is in the foothills of the Smoky Mountains, which means our roads can be hilly and curvy. Over time, those hills can mean a bit more wear on your brakes and transmission. Also, if you commute on I-40 or I-75, note that road construction can cause some extra wear on tires. Not a huge deal. Remember to budget for routine maintenance. Be a few extra bucks for brake pads after conquering the strip's hills for a year. Higher car insurance if downtown. The average is $120 a month. If you're younger or have accidents or tickets, the rate could be higher. Also, living downtown might bump it a bit due to urban driving. Shop around for insurance. See has many providers. Ride shares and taxis. Knoxville has Uber, Lyft. If you plan on using those frequently, say for going out on weekends so you don't have to drive, that cost can add up. Still cheaper than owning an extra car. But keep in mind, if you're used to robust public transit, you'll likely use a ride share for safe rides home. Lack of public transit options. This is more of a lifestyle cost. If you're coming from a city with great transit, you might feel forced to drive everywhere here, which some consider a downside. Also means potential extra costs like needing a second car for a family, gasoline expenses if you have a long commute. Gas is cheap here. If you drive a lot, it adds up. Overall, getting around Knoxville is pretty wallet friendly. Cheap gas, short commutes, and low cost parking. Just plan on having a car and factor in those routine auto expenses. The freedom of a short 20-minute commute is one of Knoxville's best quality of life perks, especially compared to the gridlock folks face in Atlanta or Austin. Now let's talk about day-to-day living costs like groceries, eating out, and having fun in Knoxville. These are areas where Knoxville can save you money, though there are a few hidden costs in the mix too. Groceries. You'll be happy to know that grocery shopping in Knoxville is generally cheaper than the national average. By some estimates, grocery prices here are around 5 to 10% lower than in many U.S. cities. In fact, the cost of living index for groceries in Knoxville is slightly below 100. What this means is that your cart of food will cost a bit less here than it would in, say, Chicago or even Nashville. Basic items like milk, bread, eggs tend to be reasonably priced. Plus, Knoxville has plenty of budget-friendly grocery options. Walmart and Aldi for low prices, Kroger for variety and sales, and there are multiple Kroger locations in town, and even Costco. Yes, Knoxville has a Costco for bulk shopping at good prices. If you are health conscious or prefer organic, there are stores like Whole Foods and Trader Joe's in that area too, though you might pay a premium there just like anywhere else. Overall, expect to spend a bit less on groceries living in Knoxville, Tennessee, than you would in a larger metro. One source noted Knoxville's grocery prices are about 1% below national average. That might not sound like much, but in practice, many people find their grocery bill is lighter here, especially if you shop sales or use the cheaper stores. Dining out. If you love eating out, Knoxville won't disappoint your taste buds or your wallet. Restaurant prices here are generally lower than in bigger cities like Nashville or Atlanta. You can grab a meal at a nice local restaurant in Knoxville for maybe $12 to $15 a person, whereas the same might easily be $18 to $25 in Nashville's trendy spots. Even chain restaurants in Knoxville often price a bit lower than their big city counterparts due to lower rents and operating costs. Fast food and dining are plentiful and cheap, as expected in the South. However, one thing to remember, tipping culture is alive and well here. Standard tipping is 20% for good service at restaurants and bars, so factor that in when you budget for nights out. Newcomers from outside the U.S. or folks not used to tipping 20% might find that an adjustment. It's not a Knoxville-specific thing, it's everywhere in the U.S., but worth noting that on top of the bill, plus sales tax, you'll want to tip your servers. Occasionally, restaurants here might add automatic gratuity for large parties, but generally it's up to you to add 18 to 20%. So while dining is cheaper, don't forget to budget a bit extra for the tips. It's just part of living in Tennessee, and most places. Entertainment and recreation. Here's where Knoxville really shines for budget-conscious living. There are tons of affordable or free things to do. If you're an outdoor enthusiast, the Great Smoky Mountains National Park is essentially in Knoxville's backyard, about an hour's drive, and entry is free. That's right, the Smokies have no entrance fee, unlike many national parks. So you've got world-class hiking, camping, and scenic drives for basically the cost of gas to get there. Many people moving to Knoxville are excited for this reason alone. The outdoor recreation is both amazing and affordable. In town, you'll find that entertainment costs are quite reasonable. Movie ticket prices are standard, maybe $10 to $12, but it's the local events that are great. College sports and minor league sports, for instance. Knoxville is home to the University of Tennessee Volunteers, so college football and basketball are huge here. Tickets to a UT football game can vary. Big games can be pricey, but a lot of other sporting events are cheap fun. For instance, the Knoxville Ice Bears, which is minor league hockey, or the Tennessee Smokies, which is minor league baseball, just outside of Knoxville, have tickets often for under $15. Compare that to an NFL or an MLB game in a big city where you might spend $50 to $100 a ticket. Even local concerts and festivals are usually affordable or free. Knoxville music scene includes plenty of free outdoor concerts, and venues like the Mill and the Mine or Tennessee Theater have shows that are typically cheaper than similar concerts in larger cities. Dining and nightlife entertainment is also cheaper. You won't pay $20 just to park and $15 cover charge like you might in Atlanta club scene. In Knoxville, you can head to Market Square, enjoy live music, have a couple of drinks, and not break the bank. Hidden costs of food and fun. A few things to keep in mind. Specialty groceries. If you're into niche or gourmet foods, say a specific imported cheese or a hard-to-find spice, you might pay a bit more or have to hunt around. Knoxville has international markets and organic stores, but fewer than a huge city would. Sometimes this means less competition and slightly higher prices for those specific items. For example, authentic bagels or certain health food products might be pricier or only at one shop across town. Alcohol. Tennessee has some quirky liquor laws. You can buy wine in grocery stores now, a recent change, but stronger liquor still has to come from a liquor store. Beer is sold in grocery stores and convenience stores, but only up to a certain alcohol percentage. Also, alcohol carries a high tax here. Tennessee historically has one of the highest beer taxes in the nation, so buying drinks can be a bit more expensive than you expected. A craft beer pint at a bar might be $6 to $7 and cocktails $8 to $10, which is cheaper than, say, New York, but maybe not as cheap as you'd hope given the otherwise low cost of living. And in liquor stores, you might notice liquor is a tad pricier than in some states due to taxes. Not a huge deal, just something people mention. Why is my six-pack a couple dollars more here? That's the taxes. Limited late night options. This is more of a lifestyle adjustment cost. Knoxville is not a 24/7 city. If you're used to big cities where you can get food at 2 a.m. or there's always something open, Knoxville might feel quiet late at night. Most restaurants close by 10 or 11 and bars by 1 a.m., 2 a.m. on weekends for a few. There are a handful of late night eateries, but not many. So if you get midnight munchies or need late night transportation, your options are limited. You might end up paying for a late night delivery fee or higher price at the one or two diners open late. It's not a monetary cost per se, but it can be an inconvenience cost. You might have to take a longer Uber to find that one open drive-thru, etc. Essentially, Knoxville's nightlife is cheaper, but also tamer than, say, Austin's 6th Street or Atlanta's club scene. Entertainment splurges. Because Knoxville is smaller, if a big-name artist or show isn't coming to Knoxville, you might need to travel to Nashville or Atlanta for it. That could mean extra cost in tickets, gas, maybe a hotel, once in a while to see, say, a major concert tour. Many folks here do that occasionally. It's not frequent, but for that one thing you really want to see, you might spend more to go to another city. All in all, living in Knoxville, Tennessee is very friendly to your wallet when it comes to food and fun. Groceries won't cost you an arm and a leg. Dining out is affordable. Just remember those tips, and there are plenty of free or cheap activities, from hiking the Smokies to attending community events. Just watch out for those little hidden costs like higher alcohol taxes or the urge to splurge on out-of-town entertainment. To wrap up, Knoxville's cost of living in 2025 is considerably cheaper than most major cities. Housing is more affordable, everyday expenses are lower, and even big things like taxes work in your favor. No state income tax. Woohoo! It's easy to see why so many people are moving to Knoxville, Tennessee for a more affordable life. That said, we've seen how some hidden costs can add up if you're not aware. The high sales tax on purchases, the necessity of owning a car with all of its associated costs, limited transit, and even things like insurance or specialty shopping can surprise you. Knoxville is best suited for people who want a balance of affordability and outdoor lifestyle. If you love nature, a slower pace, and lower expenses, you'll love it here. But if you can't live without 24-hour city buzz or you expect ultra-high salaries, Knoxville's job market pays less on average than, say, New York or Austin tech jobs. That's something to consider. It's all about what lifestyle you want. Overall, you can live very comfortably in Knoxville on a lot less money than you need in Nashville, Atlanta, Austin, or Charlotte. Lower Knoxville housing costs and shorter commutes especially give you a quality of life boost. Just be mindful of those small costs like tipping, insurance, or maintenance. They're not huge, but they are part of the true cost of living in Knoxville that no one should overlook. Now I want to hear from you. What surprised you the most about Knoxville's cost of living? Was it a particular expense you didn't expect? Or maybe something that's way cheaper than you thought? Drop a comment below with your thoughts or any questions you have. I'd love to chat more about living in Knoxville or Tennessee in general. If you found this breakdown helpful, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more tips on moving to Tennessee, cost of living guides, and all things Knoxville. Thanks for watching, and see you on the next video.